talk about relationship calibration, how to find your soulmate, how to find your true partner. Okay, we've all been through this, looking for a partner, dating a lot, trying to find a person that matches us. It's not an easy thing. And I created a process I call relationship calibration, which helps you find the person that will match perfectly in the chemistry and be able to be happy with that person. In other words, not to force a relationship, but to actually find the relationship that naturally fits you completely. Okay, so let's begin with relationship calibration. Now, step number 0 is an interesting step. The first truth is people very rarely know themselves. So if you don't know yourself, if you're not centered in yourself, you're going to be looking for the wrong person. And all the work you do to try to find a person will be for naught. So the first step is actually a baseline step. Get to know yourself. Take the time to be confident. Take the time to learn how to be your own person. Take the time to experiment. Take the time to just make mistakes, get better, exercise, get stronger, eat better, just be healthier overall and more confident in oneself. Very important baseline. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to attract a person that compliments you taking care of yourself. And if you're codependent and trying to find your answer outside of yourself, any relationship you get into will be broken by the very fault of codependency. In other words, if you start broken, it ends up broken. Not very healthy. So, step 0 and step 1, re-baseline yourself, take time to get confident, take time to experiment, and take time to know yourself. It's a really important thing. Okay, so step number 2. It's okay to have multiple relationships. It's okay to have short relationships. Our culture teaches us a very wrong thing. It teaches us every relationship is going to be the one to make it. And that means every time you dive into a relationship, it's going to be the wrong one because you're forcing it. It won't work. So don't force your relationships. It just won't work. Now, if you take the time to enjoy each relationship, take the time to let the relationships come and go, learn from each one, something interesting happens. You get to begin discovering more about yourself and what you are attracted to and what works and doesn't work. So what we don't understand is people try to hit a home run on the very first time they go out or in high school or find their true love right away. And oftentimes the truth is our true love happens after we've been through several years of other relationships. And so when we're younger, take the time to explore many relationships. Take the time to have some bad relationships and learn from them so you don't get into a lifelong bad relationship. So our early relationships are okay that they're short. And we want to embrace many short relationships to learn a lot and to understand more about ourselves and people in general, and then to grow a little bit through that process. So actually, one important step, generally speaking, it's okay to experiment and learn more about yourself through relationships up front. Very important. Okay, step number 3, don't force it. If you're forcing chemistry, then it won't work. So if you're forcing a relationship at the get-go, if it doesn't feel right, you keep trying to get them to connect to you and they keep running away, or it just isn't natural, you can't laugh with that person, but because you're trying so hard, you're going to force it, well, that's a bad sign. If you're forcing it, it's not going to work. So don't force your relationships, okay? Very bad sign. Now, typically, our culture teaches you to force a relationship. It teaches you to push. And the reason why is it kind of works. There are a lot of people in forced relationships, and a forced relationship will last 2, 3, 5, 7 years. The trouble with a forced relationship is it won't make the distance. See, it turns out there's only one relationship we have that's going to make the distance, the last one. All the earlier relationships are just there to prep us for our last relationship. Don't try to make your first relationship the last relationship because you don't have enough experience to do it yet. You know, we need to learn, we need to go through, we need to get confident. So all these pre-steps are important, and learning not to force it is equally as important because the culture teaches you to force it. Your genes, your instincts are pushing you to have a mate, pushing you to start a family, pushing you to be with someone. And that is a trap. And there's another sub-trap in this. Don't be with someone because you're lonely. Loneliness is a terrible way to be in a relationship. It means you're slowly giving up your power. And if you're lonely, you're going to attract abusers and get into abusive relationships. So if you're lonely and go back into a relationship, if you're lonely and you're thinking, oh, this is the only one that's going to work, you've doomed yourself to a lifelong bad relationship. So do not get into a relationship only because you're lonely. If you're lonely, circle back around to step number 1 and work on yourself. Get confident, begin experimenting, play in life, learn some jiu-jitsu, learn some martial arts, go into art, go into something, but begin to confidence in yourself rather than chase loneliness. No one wins chasing loneliness. You'll never find your soulmate if you're lonely. You have to be happy with yourself too. Okay, now the interesting thing when you're looking for soulmates, when you're looking for the last partner, typically it happens when you're not looking anymore. And typically the person who you find isn't looking either. So when you're forcing and looking, you typically look in all the wrong places. So you go to the bar rather than the library. You force a person whenever you see them to try to get them to talk to you. No, that doesn't work. So it's okay to flirt. Flirt should be playful and opening. And if the flirting goes nowhere, don't force the flirting. So flirting is great, but don't flirt if it falls down flat. And if you're not confident, you're not going to be able to flirt with confidence and it won't work anyway. So flirting is okay. And if the flirting opens up into a laughter, if the flirting opens up into conversation, then run with it and go deeper. That's great. So now, the real secret of relationship calibration is this next step. It turns out the baseline of any relationship is chemistry. Now, if you watch the Tree of Love video, we talk about what a relationship consists of, the 8 elements of a relationship. And chemistry is the basis of a relationship. Without the right chemistry, your relationship is going to fail. Now, you can get by with a few years on bad chemistry, but bad chemistry will always slowly destroy you over time. So the truth of relationship calibration is, and as part of having those shorter upfront relationships, is you're learning chemistry and flirting and having these shorter relationships. Now, there are 3 chemistries: body chemistry, mind chemistry, and spiritual chemistry. Everyone gets fooled by body chemistry. And when your body gets attracted to someone, it overwhelms you with all those endorphins and serotonin and all that feel-good pleasure hormones saying this is the one. But that's the body chemistry saying, hey, let's have children. And you can't be fooled by that, because just because someone is the right person to have a child with doesn't mean they're the right person for you to live with and share a story with. Your body standards and your mind standards are very different from each other. And oftentimes the body, our physical chemistry, will fool our mind in thinking this is the right person. So that's a trap. So part of relationship calibration is actually learning there's 3 chemistries and over time tasting each one to make sure you have all 3 in a relationship. So if you have a hot, heavy relationship, but there's no spirit, you can't seem to go anywhere with this person, and there's no mind, in other words, you can't talk with them, that's a dud of a relationship. Body is not enough to keep a relationship going over time. It's enough to last for 7 years and have children, but then you're going to have a nasty divorce, all the divorce problems, and be unhappy afterwards. So don't let the body fool you in a mid-length relationship just for children. And that happens to a lot of people. So body chemistry is important. Now, the best test of body chemistry is scent. If a person smells good, now if they have perfume on, walk the other way. If you have perfume on, wash it off, because you're fooling the chemistry. And fooling the chemistry is going to get you the wrong person. Now, it's okay to wear perfume and cologne if you just like it once in a while, but when you're dating, absolutely the wrong thing, unless you're a player. If you're a player, wear lots of perfume, wear lots of cologne, because it's there to fool the person into a short-term relationship. So if you're looking for a long-term relationship, be natural. Do not wear perfumes or scents, because they'll fool the person thinking there's more chemistry than there is. That's why the perfume industry makes billions and billions of dollars, because they're selling chemistry. And forcing the wrong person to think they have chemistry will be a disaster in your relationship later. Bad, bad, bad move. So body chemistry is all about having that electric touch. When you hold their hand, it feels good. They don't have that sweaty palm. They don't have a cold palm. The temperature is right. It feels comfortable. The scent is nice. It feels relaxed around this person. You open up naturally. When you open up, that's a sign of good chemistry. Now, mind chemistry is the chemistry of the stories. So that's when your stories are in alignment. So for instance, if you are a marine biologist and you fall in love with a mountain climber, that's going to be a little rough because your stories are going to take you elsewhere. If your stories are totally opposite of each other, the way you hold your stories, then that's going to create a bad relationship. And that's important because our stories are a baseline of who we are. Now you can watch the Being Human video, which will teach you all about why we are our stories and how to work with our stories. It's an important truth though. The mind chemistry is our story chemistry. Are our stories compatible? Now, oftentimes our body chemistry will fool us. We'll think because it feels so good, we'll try to match up the stories. So we have to be careful not to be fooled, because they can. Our body chemistry can overwhelm our mind, and when our mind gets that high, it tries to match the stories up. But if you try to date a person and the calendars don't match up, and things just don't seem to synchronize up, that's a sign that things aren't good in the chemistry department. In fact, that's the next sign of spiritual chemistry. So we're body, mind, spirit. We need all three to have a soulmate. Spirit is the hardest of the three chemistries. People think religion is spirit. No, religion has spiritual practices. Now, you can use that as a rough guide. So if one person's atheist and they marry a Roman Catholic, then there's going to be some spiritual chemistry issues in that relationship. However, when they're younger, the body chemistry tends to overrun you and you tend to work. But then as you get older, the spiritual chemistry begins to diverge, and then around 14 years later, that difference in spiritual chemistry will break up a marriage. I see a lot of people with different spiritual backgrounds end up breaking up because the emotion of life doesn't match up. See, spirit's not a religion. Religion's a clue, but that's not really what spirit is. Religion is the motion of your life, the style of how you move. It's how you flow with the world and see that larger world. And so if you have a totally different worldview and move through it differently than someone else, your relationship isn't going to make it very far. You can also see spiritual chemistry in synchronicity. And if things just magically happen all the time, that's a sign of good spiritual chemistry. Now, it takes time to learn chemistry. You're not going to get it right. You're going to be fooled because our instincts are going to try to fool us. Your instincts don't have your long-term goals in hand. In other words, your instincts don't care about finding your soulmate. Your instincts only care about finding someone to have kids with. So your instincts will fool you that person is a deeper relationship than you think. So we have to be careful with this. So over time, this is really critical. Yes, have lots of relationships, date people, go out with them, and afterwards, this is step number 5. You look back in retrospect and see what happened. Why did it fail? It's good for these initial relationships to fail because each one that fails for a reason. It fails for bad chemistry. And you look at the reason why and dissect it. Understand why you have that bad chemistry. Now, over time, after you have 5 to 10 relationships, you'll begin to discover what ones work and which ones don't. And you'll be able to figure out, oh, this person had good body chemistry, but bad spiritual chemistry. And this person had bad body chemistry, but I liked their story, but still fell apart. So over time, you calibrate yourself to match up to the chemistry that really works for you. And it's powerful. So this is relationship calibration, taking the time to explore chemistry and enjoy it. Now, for instance, people think good sex is good chemistry. Actually, it's the exact opposite. Bad sex means bad chemistry, but good sex doesn't mean good chemistry. It just means you have a platform to start exploring the other chemistries with. So don't stay in a relationship only because of good sex, because good sex is not a good indicator of good chemistry. However, bad sex, yeah, dump them right away, lose them. No reason to have bad sex. Bad sex is bad chemistry. Okay, so now here's the last step. Relax and then magic happens. When you stop looking, ironically, then you begin to pay attention to people. And then when the person with the right chemistry comes along, you go, ah, they have the magic. And you actually begin flirting with them. It becomes natural, and then you come together. So lots of times people find their partner when they're not looking. So that's the hardest step, to release the hunt, to relax. So after we have a time to understand our chemistry, after we have time to relax in our confidence, then we can just live our life. And then when we intersect with our soulmate, we'll recognize them for who they are because they'll be natural and we can flirt with them and we can laugh with them. And then you just go deeper and embrace it. And you don't let it run away. You don't let fear or shyness keep you from them. You actually embrace and work with it. That's relationship calibration really fast. Now, I do help people do this. If you need help, we can sit down and go into a full hour session and help you review all your relationships and help you understand this in a deeper way. It's a powerful method. It works. I know because I married my lifelong partner, Soulmate, after meeting her 3 days. And I asked her to marry me. She said yes, and we've been together for 15 years and we're going strong. Only reason that I was able to do that is because I went through this process. And Julie was doing it on her own also. She was getting confident. She was going all these steps also. And we weren't looking, and we relaxed, and boom, we found each other. So this works. I know it. I eat my own cooking here, people. And I've helped many people go through this process. It works. So subscribe to our video. It helps a lot. So please do subscribe. Please ask questions in the comments and let magic happen, people. Have fun and don't look in the wrong places. Just enjoy this process. Find your partner. So subscribe and have a good day.